Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Real Talk, Tuesday night Michigan edition. It's your boy Jeff again, and returning at this point annual guest. Yeah,
Good. Very good, man.
good. So I mean, you say good, but I know you're lying because we are. There's no way we can possibly be good in the situation that we are in, facing 1-2 as Michigan fans. But let's go ahead and get your initial thoughts on where we're at as a football team right now.
Well, a lot of work to be done, and with the shortened season, uh, I mean, to get to Indianapolis, you need a lot to happen. So right now, they are playing for pride, and they have to bring it this week. I was hoping that they were going to have some senior leadership, people step up against Indiana. It really did not happen. So. A lot of questions need to be answered. A lot of mistakes need to be fixed. So we are at a pivotal ball game here against Wisconsin this weekend. So it's, I mean, you're Jim Harbaugh. You're in the locker room. You got to tell your guys, like, what are we doing? Are we going to take what we're doing in practice and put it on the field? Because I keep hearing in the press conferences, post game conference, press conference, whatever. The practices are great, but they're not doing it in the game. So something's missing here, but they need to figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the post reaction of the Michigan State game, I think ultimately I had a feeling that we were going to struggle in this game. I didn't think we would lose. I said this on the pod last week. I said that us Michigan fans were going to be really mad because we were going to win this game. And I thought that we just underplayed at Michigan State. Truthfully, we now know that's not the case. This is who we are. It's a tough pill to swallow because this is year 5 or 6 for Harbaugh. I honestly forget the count. I think it's year 6. This is tough. This is a tough pill, and we should be better. At least Michigan fans think we should be better. Kudos to Indiana, and we'll get to that here in a second. But Michigan's got a lot of issues. I mean, for the second straight game, the corners were a massive issue, which we'll talk about. Joe Milton did not throw it 50 times, but was rather average to below average in this game. I mean, I definitely wasn't saying he was any kind of savior. And the offensive line for the second straight game really wasn't able to muster up any kind of good running. So, with that said, let's go ahead and move right into the game. So, Michigan travels to Indiana and drops to 1-2, and Indiana moves to 3-0. They were 13th going into the game. I think I don't know what their ranking is now. I would assume they're probably top 10, low top 10. But Indiana scores early and often. They put up 14 in the first, 10 in the second, 7 and 7 for a total of 38. Michigan has 7 in the first, 0 in the second, 7 and 7 in the third and fourth, respectively. 38-21. Michigan loses. Go ahead and start. I'll let you start.
Just the breaking it down. Well,
I guess here let me throw you a T-ball here. So first off, what did you think the reason we lost the game? Let's start there. Biggest reason.
I think the biggest reason is the secondary.
Yeah, I agree.
And a close second is the offensive line, and part of that was I didn't even realize it. Going into the game, we had 3 replacement offensive linemen. So when the commentators said that 3 new offensive linemen were playing, and I don't even remember the reason that they were out. I don't know if it was illness or minor injury. Excuse me. And then when I heard that, I'm like, oh, we're going to be in for a long day because Indiana's defense has been playing tough. And, again, our run game, putrid, absolutely putrid.
Yeah. So I actually 100% agree with you. I've been preaching this after we watched the game last weekend. Is just at this point the secondary is an absolute liability. And the factor that I pointed out, so Michael Penix Jr., who is becoming a household name because of Michigan, but he's not a true pocket passer. I mean, that's not really his forte. He passes the ball 50 times. He goes 30 of 50 for 342 and 3 touchdowns in the air, no interceptions. He honestly looked like Justin Fields out there. I mean, let's give credit where credit's due. Indiana and Indiana's receivers were fantastic. They had a receiver 7 catches for 142. They had another one 11 catches for 79. There was nothing that Michigan was able to do defensively that didn't result in a catch or holding or pass interference of some sort. Just absolute putrid, as you like to say, putrid play at the cornerback position. I mean, as I was watching the game, Daxton Hill, I mean, the dude looks like he's all over the field, but even he was kind of struggling in coverage at times. It's like,
yeah,
if that's really where we're at, whoo, boy, we're in for a long season. I think we already know that based off these last 2 games that we're making Michael Penix Jr. look like Tom Brady. It's just like if that's where we're at. So I think we both agree the secondary is a problem. Let's move into the running game. The running I can't even believe I'm saying this. They take 18 carries for a total of 13 yards. And the crazy thing is they had an 11-yard run and a 10-yard run.
Yep. Yeah, you got -9 from Joe Milton, so you're in the sacks there. Probably got taken into consideration.
Yeah, the sacks do in college football, but still, I mean that's a pretty poor performance running the football.
And it's probably not easy to just find it on a whim, but like, when's the last time Michigan? What is the last game that U of M has rushed for this this low number here? So
I would assume it's probably in that Brady Hoke territory with the Michigan State game where they had like negative yards rushing. I mean, honestly, if you're rushing for under 50 yards in college football, I would assume there's a good chance you're not going to win.
I mean, for sure.
Even in air raids, I mean, they're still running the ball for 50 plus yards. I mean, Indiana didn't run it super effective, so I guess that's a credit to our defensive line. 38 carries for 118 and 2 touchdowns. It's about 3 yards a carry. So credit to them. But there was a big play that Joe Milton misses that would have brought it within 7. I believe it was early in the 4th or late in the 3rd. There's a blown coverage. Ronnie Brown is running down the sideline, not the sideline, but the seam, right on the middle. He's got his hand up. Joe Milton misses him. What's your reaction to that? What's your take on Joe Milton and his lack of touch, lack of accuracy downfield?
Well, what's really sucks is obviously not having the non-conference to sharpen your skills.
Absolutely.
His downfield accuracy is kind of reminding me of how Jake Rudock played in 2015 for the first 3 or 4 weeks. If you look back when Michigan played at Utah, and Jake Rudock missed a lot of I don't want to say gimme deep balls, but he missed Chesson and Darboh a few times downfield that could have opened up the game a little bit. And Jake Rudock improved tremendously over the season. And it's unfortunate that Joe Milton is not going to have the full plate for him to improve his game. He'll, obviously the way this is going to go, I mean, 99% chance he's coming back next season, barring something crazy. So he turned the ball over twice. Again, we were talking about the preview last week of Joe Milton not turning the ball over, and this week you have to consider obviously playing down and trying to make plays. He's probably forcing the ball in there. So again, I'm still not on Joe Milton. I know a lot of the Michigan fan pages are going buck wild right now still, but again, I think Joe Milton is going to give you your best chance to win, and he's got to get help from his receivers. Eric All had another really bad game. I think he made another drop or 2. Ronnie Bell statistically 6 for 149, and Cornelius Johnson played pretty well. He had a nice had that nice deep ball, which I think tied the game up in the first quarter, 7-7 at one point. So I think you got something there, but man, just again, a lot of work on, and I don't know if these receivers just are having trouble getting off the ball, but it could be just a little bit of everything.
Yeah. I was actually pretty happy to see Cornelius Johnson get in there and get worked in. I thought he was actually going to be a week 1 starter, and it didn't look like it. He didn't play too much. He got in late in the first game when it was pretty much out of hand, and then he had I think 1 catch opportunity against Michigan State. This game he comes on, he takes the big 37-yard touchdown to open the game up, which I believe was Milton's first completion over 20 yards this year downfield. So it's okay, maybe he does have a little bit of touch. And then obviously he misses Ronnie Bound later. But seeing Cornelius in there, that's definitely good. The running game situation, going back to that, definitely needs to be changed. I don't know what their game plan is running the football, but so Haskins takes 6 carries. I believe 2 of those were in the Wildcat. Chris Evans takes 3 carries. Zach Charbonnet goes for a 70-yard carry week 1. He takes 1 carry in this game. Blake Corum, he's more of a scat back, so I don't look at him as taking too many carries. I look at him as the James White of this team. He's in there for decoy, for screen passes and wheel routes and stuff like that.
Like a Deebo Samuel type.
Yes, Deebo Samuel, or I'm not going to put him in Percy Harvin conversation, but Percy Harvin wasn't taking handoffs per se. He was taking those off tackle stuff. But I don't look for Blake Corum to get too many between the tackle carries. But somebody like Zach Charbonnet or Hassan Haskins, I'm sorry, they need to be worked in with more carries. So even if you're down, we need to try and run the football. Obviously, the offensive line being the issue this past week, but goodness gracious, I mean, it's crazy because Giles Jackson was a non-factor in this game. I think that probably plays a little bit of a factor. I think he's probably him or Rodney Brown between the top 2 skill players of the team.
I think Giles Jackson had a pretty decent return, didn't he? I feel like at one point he had a good kickoff return.
He had a long of 21.
Okay.
His longest kickoff return was 21.
Okay, but maybe I'm thinking of a different week.
I mean, there was definitely, I think he had that one return where he actually muffed it and then ended up bringing it out.
Okay, might have been that one.
Yeah, and he ended up fixing it, but it actually started off really poorly, if that's what you're thinking of. I think that's probably what you're thinking of. But I guess at the end of the day, Michigan's not as good as we thought. So, first off, what do you think on Indiana?
I mean, I think this is probably the best Indiana football team that they've put on the field since Antoine Randall days. They look good in all phases, really. Again, I praised Penix in a preview last week. I thought his comparison to when was the head coach and they had Trey Roberson. He's kind of like a Trey Roberson, that has a better arm. And, I also gave a nod to Steve Scott, their running back. 24 for 97, 4 yards carry. That's not bad. 2 touchdowns. So they feasted. And again, they have a chip on their shoulder. I mean, I'm not saying I'm an Indiana fan outside Michigan. I'm always one team kind of guy. But if I had a team that I enjoy watching, it's Indiana, because they've always been so close to doing it, and they did it Saturday. And just like the Michigan State score where they do the rushing stat, and they show that the Indiana 25 years haven't won a game. I'm like, man, they're just playing with me right now. And so I'm impressed with these guys. Penn State, we both thought they were the second best team in the Big Ten. It's clearly Indiana. This season, obviously, with the way it is right now in the COVID year, it has made everything so just insane. Minnesota was supposed to be poised to the next step. They look terrible. Michigan State gets pounded by Iowa. Indiana is with Ohio State consistently improving every week. So Man, it's going to be a very interesting run here at the end.
Yeah. So Indiana next week travels to Michigan State. The week after,
that's going to be a ball game, I think.
I think so too. The week after, though, if they manage to escape Michigan State without a loss, they're going to be 4-0. They're going to be somewhere in the top 10, maybe even top 8, depending on how things shake out. And they got Ohio State the week after. That'll be a good one. It'll be a barn burner. I think Ohio State takes them, but I mean, that'll be a huge game for Indiana, and obviously be pulling for them. I know you probably would be too at that point, but not too much more on Indiana. We'll keep it to Michigan, but next week they got Wisconsin. As of right now, what's your initial prediction for the game? Wisconsin hasn't played in a few weeks.
Well, I'd hate to. I don't know. I'm done. I predicted 2027 Michigan against Indiana. I'm not going to do a score thing again. However, this week it's kind of hard for a prediction because Wisconsin's coming out of their protocol from the Big Ten with 21 days of no negative, whatever. And they're still unsure of who their quarterback's going to be. Graham Mertz obviously had a huge day week 1 against Illinois because he's technically the second string quarterback because Jack Cohn,
yeah,
had a knee surgery in October. He's out indefinitely, so Graham Mertz is the starter 1-4, but he still has to, I think, pass a few more things to get to the Saturday game. And if he doesn't play, then they're going to be playing Danny Vanden Boom, who's a junior, and I don't know if that guy has ever not touched a clipboard. So very hard to predict here. You're kind of a typical Wisconsin team. Good defense, going to pound you in the mouth, but they also threw 5 touchdowns week 1. So it's again very hard to gauge what's going to happen here on the Power Index. ESPN, they're predicting 87% towards in favor of Wisconsin winning this ball game. It's going to be a huge test for U of M. Like I said, it's gonna you fall to 1-3. I don't know where you're literally playing to beat Ohio State, and that is a huge task to ask of the way you're playing right now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I feel like Wisconsin's going to win this game, but again, you don't know who the roster is.
So, I mean, you said fall to 1-3, and obviously that would be the case for this year, but listen to these last 5 opponents of Michigan. So dating back to last November 30th, they were versus number 1 Ohio State. They lost 56-27. New Year's Day, they're at number 13 Alabama. They lose 35-16. This year they open up at number 21 Minnesota. I don't think we agree that Minnesota is even a ranked team at this point, but they win 49-24, and then obviously these last 2 weeks they drop losses 2 weeks in a row. So they're literally 1-4 in their last 5 games. Man, does this hurt? I mean, I know this is something that you always say that this is what Michigan is, and I know you don't want to believe it. I mean, you say it because you know it's true, but we don't want that to be the case, obviously, and I don't want that to be the case. And I don't know, it's just it's a tough pill to swallow. I think, if I'm being completely honest with myself, that Wisconsin's going to win this game, and they're probably going to do it somewhat handily. Somewhere in the vicinity. If I had to throw a score, I don't like to get into score predictions too much, but I think by 2 scores, man. I mean, I think it's like 31-14, somewhere in there. We can't hang with anybody that has somewhat of a resemblance of a passing attack. And in the first game, this Mertz kid, is that his last name? Mertz?
Yep.
Right?
Graham Mertz, yep.
Yeah, so he throws 5 touchdowns. 3 of them are to this Ferguson receiver. 7 catches for 72 yards and 3 touchdowns. Who's guarding him? Vincent Gray? No.
Yeah, right. I'm assuming it's probably their tight end. I think Ferguson is their tight end. But
Yeah, he is a tight end.
They're definitely they're definitely showing that they can sling the ball. Again, it was against Illinois. So again, a lot of I think questions will be answered this weekend. You'll see obviously Wisconsin is the only second game that they're playing of the year,
Yeah.
and you'll see kind of if on how Michigan responds. What I didn't really like with not even just last week, but kind of since over the last probably about 6 or 7 games going into last year, Michigan's running back rotation is very, very odd.
Yeah. No, I agree.
It's
I agree.
it's not even a running back by committee. It seems like it seems as though you get a running back and they start getting in a groove, or they have a big play, and then you don't see them for like 2 quarters, and don't know why. I personally, I'm always the type of guy where I like a bell cow, and I like that third down running back in
Yeah.
the third down back. So you always like Mike Hart, and then you like Grady or Brandon Miner to come in to facilitate the third down. But they need to. We both agree Haskins starts, and I think Corum needs to be more of the third down guy. I like Charbonnet, but Charbonnet is boom or bust. It seems like I'm going to get no gain,
and he's
or I'm
younger.
going to get a 70-yard gain.
Yeah,
he is younger. And then it seems like Chris Evans, obviously having that year off last year with his off the field issues, it looks like he's not getting the rust off at all. And part of that is the offensive line is complete trash, but he's not. I mean, obviously you find who your better running back is when they can make something from nothing. And Haskins, obviously, is their best one.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess official prediction from you: Wisconsin or Michigan?
Wisconsin.
Yeah.
And
same.
God, it's so hard. I don't want to say hard, but it doesn't fit right with me to say that. Normally, I'm not saying I'll pick Michigan everywhere. I mean, preview, I had this being a kind of a swing game, but I didn't think Michigan State was going to be a swing game, and I didn't think Indiana was going to be a swing game. I thought it was going to be a toe-to-toe battle, but
yeah,
this is going to be Badgers.
Well, let's go ahead and touch on this. We got some time here, so Jim Harbaugh, he drops to 1-2, 1-4 in his last 5 games. I think a lot of people are probably calling for his head. I know we talked about it a little bit last week, and even more so now after another loss. I think people are done. People are they're officially over. But I actually saw somebody say something, and it makes sense. So J.J. McCarthy, the 4-star or 5-star, depending on what rankings you're looking at, quarterback, number 2 in the country for most charts, is committed to Michigan. I've seen somebody say that there's no way Harbaugh's not here next year because they don't want to lose his commitment. What's your take on that?
Well, coaches do it all the time, especially with assistants. They keep assistants on so they can lock in that recruit, and sometimes they get rid of them afterwards. It happened with Rich Rodriguez coming in. He kept Fred Jackson on to get Sam McGuffey, but we all know how that turned out. You know what, though? I mean, are you going to really keep a head coach that has not really done much for you in the trophy case department? Is it really worth keeping him on just to get another quarterback into your system? I mean, Milton's your quarterback that you recruited. You got McNamara, you recruited him. So, to me, if you have to make the decision to replace him, do it. Who cares about the commitment? You're going to have attrition anyway. If Jim Harbaugh steps down, you're going to have 3 or 4 guys, regardless, going somewhere else.
Yeah. And
you might have that with Daxton Hill. If Jim Harbaugh leaves, Daxton Hill might be entering the transfer portal. That dude turned down Alabama to come to Ann Arbor. That's probably not sitting right with him. It won't sit right with me. So, again, there's going to be attrition regardless. And the next coach, if I'm just saying hypothetically, the next coach, I mean, you got to grab whatever you can to hold on.
Yeah, I don't think Dax is going to leave only because he only has to play 1 more year. I mean, doesn't even matter who the head coach is next year. I would assume that they're going to be better than what we are right now. I can't see Michigan being bad again next year, despite who's head coach. Even if Harbaugh's back, I think they're better than they are this year, just because of experience. I mean, we both agree that the secondary is absolutely abominable. I mean, I would have to assume that's going to be somewhat improved. Just assumption, obviously, but whether they move on from Don Brown, whether they move on from Harbaugh, or both, or yeah, but who knows? As you said, I mean, when these recruits, especially the quarterbacks, like Dylan McCaffrey, he gets recruited here. As soon as he steps on campus, he gets leapfrogged by Shea Patterson. And then when he thinks it's his job, Joe Milton swoops in. It's like, I don't know. We're sending a bad message to quarterbacks. I've heard that a few times from different people. It says that Michigan's sending bad, and I somewhat agree. This was the first time that Jim Harbaugh is starting his own recruit at quarterback.
Yeah.
So
yep.
It's a bad look. It is what it is, I guess. As we approach this gauntlet of a schedule, which didn't appear to be a gauntlet when it first came out. I know we talked about a few swing games, but I mean, we literally have. I can't even believe I'm going to say this. After Wisconsin, we have Rutgers, and that game all of a sudden looks tough.
Every game on what's ahead of us is going to be a dogfight. Maryland destroying Penn State. Maryland looks great. So if any team beatable, it's kind of Penn State. But going in, Penn State was supposed to be the one that was behind Ohio State. So
yeah, pretty sad. It kind of sucks. We're fourth in the Big Ten East, which is pretty much our calling card. I mean, that's really where we're always at. I don't know. Obviously, I'm pulling for the boys this weekend. I think we're in trouble. 7:30 start time, ABC. I'll be watching, but boy, are we in trouble. I don't know where else to say or what else to go from here, but any other final notes?
No, I guess I will say this. Again, I mean, I've never played college football. I'm just a mere fan. This is my religion. This is your religion.
Yeah.
But people, Michigan fans, if you're listening to this, whatever conspiracy theory or theory you have, just know this. Just because a player that is a Michigan alum is great on the football field does not translate to being a great head coach, okay? You and I, we've seen a post about a guy on one of the fan pages boasting or offering the idea that Tom Brady should be the next head coach at U of M. Okay, so just because he's the GOAT in the NFL and has 6 rings does not mean he's going to step into Ann Arbor and all of a sudden, go undefeated like Nick Saban and win 6 titles. Okay. And Charles Woodson is not going to be head coach either. That dude's a family man. If, like I even said in the last episode, if you were ever to get Charles Woodson on staff, it'd be like the lottery would be the defensive backs coach.
Let me jump in real quick with what you just said about Woodson. Everyone's jumping on this Woodson train because he offered a little bit of cornerback insight during the Michigan State game. Let me rephrase that. He offered a little bit of cornerback insight. I wonder why. He's the greatest college football cornerback ever.
Yeah.
That's his team that's losing. He's going to offer insight. If you think for a half a second that Charles Woodson wants to come coach Michigan, you're out of your damn mind. He doesn't want to right now. First off, Charles Woodson doesn't have any coaching experience. He would at least need to go on somebody's staff for a year. And Harbaugh, frankly, can't afford him right now, as you said. You can continue. That's really what I wanted to chime in there, because all these people that are calling for Woodson, I'm like, you guys, he offered insight in the cornerback position in a rivalry game. Duh. I mean,
and you know what the thing is he was bringing up the thought and playing the ball, and that's why they're getting burned. And I will have to say, I think it was one of the first drives against Indiana, Vincent Gray, who's been burnt toast the last few weeks, he turned his head and he actually defended one pass, and I thought that was going to be lifting him up a little bit, but still he got burned. But I understand that people are like, man, yeah, Charles Woodson, he's got that knowledge. Harbaugh's staff is probably telling the players the same thing. It's up to the players to actually turn around. I mean, it's probably brought up to you in Pop Warner on how to play corner and when to turn your head on the ball, So that, again, if you're listening, Michigan fans, just enough with these crazy coaching searches that you got going on in your head, and I think a lot of people are coming around the corner here that the next guy probably not be a Michigan man, and I think that is, in my opinion, the number one on the resume. And again, I might sound crazy to some people, but if any of these people that are getting mentioned, I think Luke Fickell is like the most realistic one. Not Tom Brady, not Charles Woodson. And I already see your face palm in your hand. But, hey, Charles Woodson or Luke Fickell, who do you think is more realistic to be the head coach?
Oh, in that case, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think there's other options.
Oh, there is. There absolutely is.
Yeah.
But, those are the three that were getting tossed around for sure.
Yeah. And, a lot of people have thrown Matt Campbell's name out there, Iowa State, former UT guy. Yeah, whatever. No thanks. No thanks. I mean, personally, I'm still a believer that Jim Harbaugh's a good football coach. The thing is, so's Matt Campbell. So's Luke Fickell. I want an elite football coach, and I don't think we're going to get that. So at this point, and, I had a slight argument with somebody over on Facebook. It's like, we're not going to get an elite coach. So I would like a quarterback whisperer. I would like somebody that has a proven track record of making quarterbacks good. And that's why I brought up Joe Brady.
That is a phenomenal idea. Absolutely.
Yeah. And, for people that don't know who he is, he was on the staff of the New Orleans Saints, worked with Drew Brees, ends up going to LSU for one single year, takes an average Joe Burrow, and yes, look at the stats, he was average, and makes him, he had the greatest college football season ever by a quarterback, okay? Then he goes to the Panthers, and look what he's doing with the Panthers, and most of the time it's been without McCaffrey. I'm raising my hand. I would like him on staff. Bring him in. Offer him. He's not a Michigan guy. He's not somebody that's just going to be a yes man. He seems like he's going to run his own thing, and it's working. It's worked everywhere he's went. Mm-hmm. And he worked under Sean Payton. He's worked under these great coaches. Matt Rule's an offensive mind, so I'm sure they're kind of clicking together. I don't know. I dig the Joe Brady thing. I haven't heard anybody else talk about it. I threw his name out there. He's a name that I'm watching. I don't know. I'm not still till this day. I'm not calling for Harbaugh to get fired. I want it to work out. I just believe they will part ways.
Yeah.
I don't want him to be fired. I just part ways. Part ways. Don't resign. Whatever it is. If he resigns, I'm all in. Okay, let's go. But I need changes. Don Brown. Sorry. Don Brown. Mm-hmm. It's been real. Sorry, you're out of here. Gaddis, I'm not completely out on, but I don't know if that's the answer.
I just again, with Harbaugh, it's like every 2 years, every other year, he's rotating his offensive coordinators a lot. And he really tried with Gaddis bringing him in because of the new young mind. And I like continuity. And if we get rid of Gaddis, bring in, let's say Joe Brady just to be the offensive coordinator, Joe Brady probably may improve us eventually, but he's starting over kind of, you know what I'm saying? And, another coaching staff member that doesn't really get brought up a lot and doesn't really make a lot of sense is his son that coaches the tight ends and running backs. What's a bummer is Tyrone Wheatley was our running backs coach for the first season. And I think there was that tiff or that power struggle with him and Harbaugh, and then he leaves, and he really helped our running backs. I really wish we still had Tyrone Wheatley. That was like equivalent to having Charles Woodson on the staff. Again, we're all hypothetical right here, but if this happens, the month of January and February and the coaching search is going to be getting your popcorn ready.
Yeah. again, not really an argument, but I seen somebody the other day that said that Harbaugh's always had one foot out the door, and I completely disagree with that. I initially agreed with that when he got here, that I thought it was a rental. I don't know if we've ever spoke on this, but I thought, yeah, he's here for a couple of years. We'll get turned around and then he'll leave to back for the NFL where he rightfully belongs. Obviously, we got somewhat turned around because we're better than before he got here, but at the same time, we're kind of back in that regress stage. I don't believe that Harbaugh ever wanted to leave. I believe he wants to be here another 10 years. It's just, unfortunately, the fan base is calling for more, and he's not able to give us more. It's that situation where, God, you bought this sports car, and it was super expensive, and it's the shiniest new toy. Everybody on the block's looking at it, and you're like, yeah, guys, I'm going to ride this out. But your commute to work's 50 minutes, and you're driving that back and forth every single day, and it's wore out on you, and it no longer has the worth because now it's snowing out, and it doesn't do the job that you thought it was going to do, and it's not shiny anymore. Nobody gives a shit about it. It's not. It becomes the old thing rather than the new thing. And unfortunately, your neighbor just went out and got a Ferrari, so your sports car never looked good in the first place now. Did I nail that? Or
No, you did. No, absolutely. I loved it. I loved every second of it.
That's where I'm at. It sucks. I want Michigan to be better. I know you do too. I don't want to see Harbaugh fired. I don't believe that's the case. I don't believe he has to be fired. Just part ways after the season. Let's move on and let's get a healthy, smart offensive mind. The defense will come. Let's get an offensive mind in there. I think in today's college football, you have to be offensively gifted, and then the defense just kind of naturally comes with it. Obviously Saban's kind of like the one sole difference there, where he's kind of a defensive mind, but the offense kind of comes because of how good he is at recruiting.
Mm-hmm.
It just is what it is. At this point, he's almost wide receiver U. So, anything else? We pretty much nailed it.
No, we pretty much nailed it. And, I don't want to always beat the drum and the dead horse every week talking about, Jim Harbaugh's hot seat. But, it's very relevant. Every week you take a loss, you're going to get challenged by the fans and the media. So, one thing that Rich Rodriguez always used to say is, like, when you're winning, you keep the lights on. You don't see any of the cockroaches. When you lose, the lights go off, and there's roaches everywhere. So, that's not the exact quote, but you know what I mean. So
yeah.
Get the W, get the W. Salvage whatever you have left here.
Yeah, at this point, this sounds far fetched. Everyone's gonna be like, "Oh, you're being a homer," but like, no matter what happens the rest of the year, my like ultimate goal is for Harbaugh to kind of announce before the game, "Hey guys, this is it for me," and we just beat Ohio State, and that ends the year. That would obviously be the icing on the cake, and Harbaugh's entire tenure would be worth it, truly. But it doesn't look like that's going to happen. At this point, it looks like we're going to get beat 70-10. So
if he goes, this is going to be my last game, and they win, he's going to be like, just kidding.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh goodness. Yeah. All right. Well, it's been another fun one. We'll look to have you back on next week after hopefully a W against Wisconsin, but we will see. Until next time, go Blue. Thanks again, my man.
Go Blue, buddy. Absolutely.
Take care.